Save the Semantics, episode 248. It is February 24th, 2024. My name is Myra. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. Recording this on a Saturday? What? Did I just record 3 times this week? I did. You know why? Well, today in particular, I'm in a pretty good mood. The weather today is just chef's kiss. Oh my goodness. It's been a minute since it's been this nice. We've been dealing with storms, just rain, windstorms, all that kind of shit. So it's been a minute since we've had this nice of weather. I haven't really gone out necessarily. Like, I've gone on little walks here and there, but today I was just like, I need to go outside. I had a little work to do. I took care of that for the most part. I was like, maybe I'm gonna get into Balatro again, but I decided that I'm gonna come out and decide to go on a little walk and record something instead. Where for the most part, what I kind of want to do is I want to gush about Balatro before I go back and play more Balatro. You know what I mean? That's kind of the mindset where I'm at right now. Anyways, I couldn't. I can't pass this up. Oh, it's so nice. The sky is blue. It's like blue, like you can't even imagine. I don't know, man. I think it's maybe because it's just been so overcast recently that I haven't seen the sky in a long time. That combined with the contrast of like green of the forest, and then there's this sense of spring that's coming around because I'm seeing some flowers blooming, some cherry blossoms blooming and stuff. It's very nice in terms of like a visual, view of things, as an aesthetic, as a nature aesthetic. It's nice. It sucks for sure for people with allergies. I totally get that. It's not the best. I guess maybe wear a mask if that helps a little bit, but it's so nice out. So I'm like, I want to walk, and I also want to talk too. In the past, I used to walk and talk. In the very, very beginning of when I started to record these, I did the very first episode I did. I basically walked and talked, and it was awful. The audio quality was awful. I mean, the audio quality of these aren't really all that great, but at least I'm like coherent and stuff. But I was like walking along the side of the road as I was recording. It was a bad idea, but it was funny. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point, but now I have sort of a, thing that I sort of keep up with. Anyways, I wanted to record something, just because I'm in a good place. I'm in a good headspace. I'm happy because the weather's nice. I'm happy because I have sort of the weekend kind of freed up in a sense. And I'm happy because I can dive back into more Balatro, which has essentially, outside of my normal day-to-day life, has taken over the rest of my life. It has been an instant sort of addiction for me, in sort of a similar vein to like Slay the Spire, in the a couple of years back when I bought that game. After the purchase, like I just like went on and I just played like for in the entire day, throughout like the entire day, and it just completely consumed my time. And I have this sort of similar feeling with this game as well, where I need to complete a run. There is this instinct to want to complete a run and to get as far as possible, you know what I mean? Completing runs with different types of decks. So far I've only completed one run, but I'm hoping that I could get at least one more. It's a challenging game, but it is incredibly satisfying when you are able to, get the sort of the correct, or rather the optimal configuration of cards, passive abilities, which are the jokers, and then the sort of additional kind of abilities that you can kind of add on to the cards. It's so fun, man. It seems to have become quite a bit of a success as well. It seems that the initial day sales for this game on all platforms, including PC, I think because it's what, Nintendo and PC, it was where this was released. It seems like it's a very, it's like projecting in a very positive manner. From what I've heard, I honestly haven't done a whole lot of digging up into the background of the developer or anything like that, the development of this game process or whatever. I have no idea really. But my sort of my general knowledge is that this was a single dude. This is like one person team that kind of did all of this stuff, and very impressive. Super impressive. It's very detailed. There are so many different types of strategies that you can kind of take on with this game. Like you could focus on a specific type of hand. You could focus on a specific type of card. You could sort of try to diversify, which usually doesn't go all that well. Like I've tried to use different types of cards, or I've tried to use like different types of like strategies. It's honestly better to I think I found it to be more optimal to develop like a specific strategy with a specific like hand type, as opposed to maybe divvying it up to different types of card hands, sort of maybe having one to as sort of like a backup in case your primary hand type doesn't work out. But that hasn't really worked out for me. I'm still figuring it out, I'm still figuring it out. But I think this game is gonna stay on my sort of my play dock, if you want to call it that, for a long time. It's definitely going to be one of those games where I can kind of go to if I need to. I don't know, if I'm doing something else. This is a good game to have as sort of a kind of a background activity. I do like to multitask. I like to watch. Like yesterday, I was watching the Bucks and the Wolves play, and then I was playing this at the same time, kind of on the side. It was like it was kind of a nice little, I wasn't super invested. Like I can give this game my full attention, or I can sort of, let it be a separate kind of thing, separate, like side activity, if you want to call it that. It's perfect for that too. So, not just like, full on intense kind of gaming session, even though sometimes if you are really going on like a deep run, it does require quite a bit of your attention. But I still think that it's really kind of what I want. This game just kind of came up at like, I don't know, the perfect time, honestly. And I've talked about this in the past before, where I was like, I've been searching, I've been really looking for a type of game that would sort of satiate my want for, it's like, essentially like a roguelike card deck builder game like Slay the Spire, and there just hasn't been a game that's really scratched the itch in the same way that game has, and this game is right there. It's really it's kind of wild. Like I'm looking, man. I'm just looking for that game, and then this game just came up. Bam. Instant, just like impulse purchase. Will this be Here's the thing that I'm thinking about. Is this game going to be the only impulse purchase buy that I make? You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm, like, thinking, like, these don't really come around that often. Like, these types of games where I immediately buy it. Like, there's, most games, it takes some deliberation. It takes a bit of me to think about whether I want to get it or not, being like, is it worth the price? Like, how much time, how long is the game? How much time am I willing to put into the game? That sort of thing. So it's just like, I don't know, sometimes like, honestly, even buying this game is kind of like a gamble too, because it's like entirely possible that I might not have enjoyed it, but there's just like a part of me. I heard the positive reviews. I'm sort of reiterating what I said a few days ago, but I really did no research at all before I got this game. Like, I just heard good things. I'm like, and I just, like, I briefly looked it up. I just heard it was like, the next kind of thing. And then I was like, yeah, I'm on. No questions asked, man. So anyways, yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying this game. It's kind of funny because, like, I don't really do this. Like, this is like who cares? I'm switching up the formula a little bit. I'm making some exceptions because I want to. I'm trying to think if I want to do like another recording later, maybe like in the middle of the week next week or something like that. I kind of want to do it, just so adds a little bit of diversity, you know what I mean? But yeah, this game has just completely taken up my time. Sorry to Baten Kaitos. I will get back to it. For sure. But yeah, this game is something else, because there are, like, Baten Kaitos, like, I have sort of reached, just to kind of talk about that game a little bit, since I haven't really caught up on it. I haven't really talked about it recently. I have reached sort of a point in the game where things are starting to kind of be revealed, and I can sense the little twists and turns kind of coming, and I'm interested in seeing where those take us. I think it would be really I'm just, I'm intrigued to kind of really continue the story and everything moving forward. There's a lot of things that are kind of being revealed about some of our characters, kind of backstories, which I'm interested in. One of the characters is very intriguing. She was essentially kind of part of the opposing force of your sort of main party, and she has quite a lot of skeletons in her closet, and I so far have liked how they sort of approach that, how they don't really hold back. Like, they don't paint her in a specific way, you know what I mean? Like, they don't, I mean, of course, there are certain characters where it's very clear they're, like, supposed to be, like, the evil characters and whatnot, but I like that within our party there is, like, a character who is sort of morally gray so far, right? Like, I think, I'm sure there's going to be more that's revealed about her moving forward, and I'm sure there's going to be some developments in terms of, how she deals with her past and what she's done, and then kind of in relation to, her with kind of the main character and how that sort of relationship goes. Like, I'm just interested in seeing how that, how it sort of, unfolds as the game and story progresses. So some interesting things being sprinkled, a little, little intrigue. So if Balatro doesn't take up my whole time, which I cannot guarantee that it will or won't, then I would like to dive back into Baten Kaitos a little bit more. I still have no idea how long this game is going to take me. Maybe I want to kind of look into that a little bit, but I'm also kind of, like I mentioned, I'm like, I don't really want to, I don't want to expect. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. I do this with every, long withstanding game, so I don't know why I'm hung up on that. Maybe I'm worried that I'm almost going to spoil myself by looking up how long the game. I don't think that's how that works. Do you spoil yourself by looking up how long a movie is? No. So why would that logic not apply? No, why would that logic then apply to a video game, right? That doesn't make sense. Why am I trying to I don't know. I think I'm just playing games with myself, you know what I mean? I'm just going to look up how long this game is. I'm just curious, It's not gonna ruin the experience for me unless I found out this game is 150 hours. The main story. Then we might have some, then I might have some qualms about that. But I really doubt it. I'm sure with extra content, it's probably gonna cross into that territory, possibly. But I think the one game that I was sort of peeved. Speaking of long hours and long play times, I think the one game that I was peeved about that, and I talked about this a while back, was for Persona 5 Royal. When I found out that it was like 90 or like 100 hours just for the base game, I was like, damn, really? That's crazy. And it was, man, because I was really, especially towards kind of the end of the game, I was really making a concentrated effort into moving kind of the story forward. Like I was still trying to develop the characters in the sense of developing their stats and the social links or whatever you want to call it. I don't think social links is in this game, is it? Isn't that in like 4 or 3? I don't know. Anyways, like I was trying to make like a concerted effort to like develop those things, you know what I mean? I just couldn't like really, I don't know. I was much more interested in trying to, move the story forward, and I just didn't really want to, I don't know. I think I was just ready to move on, at a certain point, like I talked about, in the past. So, speaking of Persona, there's been a ton of advertisements for Persona 3 Reload. It's actually kind of crazy how heavily advertised that game is. And of course I've mentioned that I've wanted to delve into the other parts of the other games in the series, most notably 3 and 4. It's just kind of funny how like how like much advertisement I'm seeing for this one. Like it's like real Atlas really put their budget into this. I'm seeing ads on YouTube. I'm seeing ads on Reddit. I'm just seeing sort of like pop-up ads in some other areas as well. Like it's kind of wild. Like it's really out there. They're really pushing it, which is sort of interesting. It's surprising in a bit, in a bit of a way. I think, because like I'm wondering. Of course, Persona is a pretty well-known series at this point. So I'm curious if it's sort of gotten to a point where they're able to, put out a bit more of a public sort of advertisement to try to appeal to sort of more of the casual gamer. I don't know. I'm just it's interesting because yes, Persona is pretty popular, but it's still like an RPG series, right? So it's just not to the same level as something like Call of Duty or GTA or anything like that, right? So I don't know. It's sort of I just thought it was sort of an interesting thing that the advertisement kept like it's just like I just keep seeing it. And there's this like one where it's like really, there's like live action, and it's just like some dude. It's like what I don't. This is so. This feels so like concentrated to for more of like a Western audience. The commercial was, and I was like, I don't like. I feel like this is not. This feels very misleading because this is not at all what I feel. I mean, I haven't played 3 at all, but I feel like this is not at all representative of the game. Like, it's just some dude, and he's like, I'm gonna change my destiny. I'm like, I don't know if that's what, like, yeah, I mean, that's like the premise of every JRPG and RPG ever made, but I don't know if that's like gonna draw you in to play the game. Like, that's not, I don't know if that's like an interesting tagline for you to become invested in this series. I think you become invested in this series because of the sort of quote unquote like monster catching elements of it. It's a bit more uh front and center with Shin Megami Tensei, because you're actually sort of capturing demons, while in this one you are sort of taking on Persona, which is a little bit of a difference, I guess, some little nuance there, but like that element I think is interesting. The social aspect of the games I think draws people in, where you play as a character and you develop relationships with a character in the worlds. But I it's like it's such a, I mean, I understand it's a very generic tagline because it's trying to appeal to a broader audience, but I just don't like, it's not, what do you're I don't, I feel like you're selling just sort of a very, it feels like you're selling just kind of a vanilla product with that kind of like statement. I don't know. It's just very funny. Like it just didn't feel at all like, it wasn't stylish. It wasn't interesting. Like it felt like a parody commercial. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just so. It's not that interesting, but I just think it's kind of funny. I started watching. I mentioned that earlier that I watched the Bucks and Timberwolves games. NBA is sort of back in full swing now. Warriors are continuing to move up. It's looking like we're in a pretty nice trajectory. I think there is very clearly now a sort of divide between the Warriors and Utah, who were previously ahead of us but have since fallen. So I think play-in is guaranteed at this point. If they are able to maintain and go on continue to go streaking, or have just like a high winning percentage towards this sort of back half of the season, it's possible, similar to last year, although last year it was a little different, but in a similar sense, get into playoff position as opposed to play-in position. Get to that 6th seed somehow. It might be difficult. There's still quite a bit of a climb, but I think that's a good goal to set your eyes on. I think anything is sort of for the taking, but if they are able to get into a playoff position and avoid the play-in, I think they're in a pretty good. I think that's like good. Even like a 7-8 position. I don't think I don't think the top 3 seeds would necessarily want to face them. Like if it's Denver, that's a bit tough. But if it's the Wolves, the Thunder, or the Clippers, I'm feeling pretty good. It's the Clippers maybe a bit more of a problem because of their, they have a lot more players that they can throw at us that are, like really good players, Paul George, Kawhi, whatever, and experience. But I think they match up pretty well with them. So I think I honestly, it's not that, I don't think it's that improbable to think that we might still have a fighting chance, despite how rocky this season has been. Despite all of the downs that we had earlier in the season, just these awful, atrocious losses that still kind of are, in a way, lingering in a sense. But if they are able to continue to move forward, to have some level of cohesion, and sort of build out team chemistry again, I think we might be in a decent position. I don't know if we would be a championship contender by any means. I don't know if I really believe that, honestly. But for the playoff picture, I think there's still a fighting chance to make somewhat of a run, maybe in the first round, 2 for pushing it. So that's kind of where we're sort of at. But it might be too early to say because there's still quite a lot of the season remaining. But I think it's like in a pretty nice. It's looking pretty good. So we'll see how long that kind of continues, and if they can kind of maintain this moving forward. But I've been happy. I haven't been able to catch the games necessarily, but I've been able to watch the highlights, check the box score, that sort of thing, and I'm happy to see a little success early on after the post All-Star game. And I mean, this has sort of continued before the All-Star game, All-Star weekend as well. So it's kind of a continuation of that. But it's good. Good streaking going on. Anyways, really, I just wanted to kind of come out, talk more Balatro, do a little catch-up. Because, it's nice out. I'm in a good mood. And wanted to take advantage of the weather. And wanted to talk and walk. I'm probably going to do another episode or another recording next week, maybe middle of the week. Maybe I'll find some time to do something like this again, and we'll talk about some more stuff, if anything happens at all. Alrighty, it is now March 2nd. Recording this like a week after I've recorded my last half of quote unquote this week's episode. It's getting too confusing. It's getting way too confusing. I just don't look. I don't like. I mean, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal to post like 20-minute long episodes. Like, I've done that for a very long time, but I just like having a bit of length, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want it to be like that short, I feel like it's just, I don't know. I've gotten used to, like, more recently I've gotten used to it being a bit more long, lengthier and stuff. So I don't know, but whatever. It's been a week. Not a whole lot has like happened necessarily, but it's been an alright week. I've just been busy with work and everything, so I haven't had too much time to necessarily catch up on a lot of things, but I've been sort of keeping track of, some things here and there, basketball, some other stuff, but it's been a pretty, it's one of those weeks where, work takes up the majority of your time and energy and all that. So, but yeah, I'm doing all right. It's been super rainy this weekend. It's been another rainy, stormy weekend, which kind of is, I'm obviously not the biggest fan of. I mean, it's been stormy for the past month, so I was sort of hoping that things would kind of cool off a little bit and, just maybe chill out, but it hasn't really done that, and it seems like this next week is going to rain even more, so that's, I guess got to prep for that. I also haven't been super active recently. It's just been hard to be motivated. I mean, I'm just kind of giving excuses, but I just haven't exercised at all. I haven't gone to the gym in forever, and I haven't really. I've ran and like walked a little bit, but other than that, it's been pretty lackluster on my end. I just hate driving. Like when I have to drive to go to the gym. So I hate driving to do that, and especially my preference is to work out at night. And then so it's like on top of that, I'm literally just stacking up excuses to not go to the gym. But really, it's just I haven't found the motivation to go recently. So I mean, hopefully that'll change. Maybe the next month I'll change my ways and switch things up or something, but I gotta really build back up. Unfortunately, I've been incredibly inconsistent on that front, so that's something I gotta work on once I kind of get back into the swing of things. So I finally watched this week, speaking of sort of things that I have kind of done, I finally watched Dune Part 1, mostly in anticipation, in preparation for watching it later tonight, for watching Dune Part 2 later tonight, which I'm excited for. I had been meaning to watch the first movie for a good while, but I was initially thinking of trying to read the book first before watching the movie, but I never got around to doing that, and by the time it was just too late, and I just didn't have, do I still want to read the book? Kind of. I am interested in seeing what the source material is like, and how the movies now sort of condense them down into kind of the film format. I'll be interested in seeing that. But yeah, I enjoyed the first movie. It definitely, based on my understanding and kind of my surface level knowledge of Dune, the book is very complex. The sort of the world in it is very detailed. There's like a clear sense of, world building, and just a clear kind of, there's a lot of different types of sort of mythologies kind of wrapped up in it, sort of based around real world mythologies and histories and customs and that sort of thing, and sort of using that to develop and create the world. And I did get a sense of that. I did get a sense of the depth with the movie. It did touch upon some interesting concepts regarding the passage of rights from one family member to the next, the concept of like ancestry, and the idea of kind of this the just the way in which certain tribes and certain groups, how they carry themselves, and how they sort of communicate with one another is very interesting. And you did get kind of bits and pieces of that in the movie, which I appreciated. I thought it was cool. But I'm sure there's much more that the book delves into in regards to characters, and just the framing of the world and everything like that. So, but I still really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was cool. I think the main story itself is not anything crazy. You know what I mean? I think the strength lies with just the presentation of everything, the cinematography, the music, the just the atmosphere is very palpable. I really liked this kind of I liked the very clear contrast. I think it was one of the more apparent kind of differences that I saw between sort of the Empire's world, where it was like constantly raining, and it was just this it was like sludge, and then you got the Emperor who's like bathing in like this this like sticky kind of mud sort of thing. There's this like, it's like dark, dense, and wet, and then the complete other side is Arrakis, where the majority of the movie takes place. The desert, right? So it's a very clear contrast. Something that one side holds and the other side doesn't hold, but there is, the spice is sort of the thing that drives people to Arrakis to, exploit the people and everything like that. So, it's a very interesting. I like the colors. It's sort of like muted, but I enjoy, what they, the things that they highlighted. I think the most obvious one is like the colors of the Fremen's eyes, which are very, bright blue. Like it sticks out very much from everything else, right? I think is a very interesting, is a very interesting contrast between, their sort of physical features and the physical features of the world that they are a part of, right? You could argue that their existence, which allowed them to kind of attain this sort of color in their eye due to exposure to like the spice or whatever, is sort of analogous to them having a bit more of like a spiritual power or whatever, you know what I mean? There's that kind of sense as well. So I don't know. There's a lot of really cool things that are built into the world of Dune. I think that the first movie, despite condensing a lot of the major plot points and a lot of the things into sort of a very digestible format, I think it still provides a lot of things to appreciate. And there are moments where certain things are kind of more focused on, such as like, what's the main character's name? Paul's dreams and his sort of, his visions of like the future and everything like that. Like that's probably going to have a very key, it's going to continue to be sort of a key aspect, key element of the story moving forward, going into the next film. I honestly have no idea. I don't know how the story ends in Dune. So I'm looking forward to it, I never bothered to look up like the plot synopsis or anything like that. So I'm like really going into this like sort of excited to see like what is going to happen. Another thing that I appreciated, this is sort of towards like maybe the end of the film, maybe the last like third. Paul gets these like visions of this like of like a certain character, and it's implied that that character is going to play a significant role in Paul's kind of development and his, him becoming more, I guess, accustomed to the world and adapting to the world of Arrakis, and that character being like a guide of sorts, you know. It's heavily like sort of implied with like a few visions, and you're like, ooh, I'm interested to see how this relationship develops. And basically toward like the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen the first one, but essentially that sort of, it doesn't go exactly the way that you anticipated. Like his vision doesn't necessarily come true, you know. And maybe it came true in some other ways, but it didn't come true in, you know, in that sense. And maybe there's like a deeper meaning in terms of why that specific character came to him in a future vision. Like maybe it could be like that role of the character was actually played in the way that it was meant to, but it just didn't come about in the sort of the I don't know how to explain it. Like that character's role was important, but it wasn't important in the way that Paul envisioned in his vision. Does that kind of make sense? So I thought that was like cool. It was sort of, you know, it kind of like, it's sort of, you know, it's not like a plot twist or anything, but it sort of pulled the rug under you because they sort of set this up as this kind of red herring sort of thing. I don't know if red herring is like the correct word, but it's, you know, it's giving, they place sort of an expectation, and then they sort of, you know, turn it on its head, right? And I thought that was interesting. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how this story wraps up. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't read the book. I also haven't seen the 1984 film by David Lynch. I am interested in watching that after I finish, finish watching part 2. Go back to that and see what, you know, Lynch's vision of Dune was. I'm very interested in seeing what that's like. So I have that kind of as something to look forward to as well. But yeah, cool stuff. Another some other things to kind of catch up on. I'll do a kind of a brief basketball thing. It's, you know, post All-Star break, all that stuff. Warriors have been doing pretty well. They won a back-to-back against New York and Toronto. And they're going to be, I don't think they're playing tonight, but they're going to be playing tomorrow, I believe. But things are sort of continuing to trend in a positive direction, and I think if they continue to maintain things and sort of move up in the standings, I think it'll be good. I mean, obviously, it will still be difficult for them to try to maybe secure seeds 6 and above, but anything is possible, you know what I mean? There's still a little bit of the season left. There are a bunch of teams that are all sort of bunched up from like 6 down to like 8, you know, or like maybe it's more like 5 through 8. Those are all kind of up for grabs, you know what I mean? So I think anything is possible, you know. If any of the teams in sort of the the bottom half of the playoff standings, if there's going to continue to be like a mix up, look, man, I think they can take advantage of that and try to move up, as long as they can continue to stay steady and win winnable games, which they have. They've taken care of business, which has been good. Quick sort of aside. I worked a little bit today, and then I played some Balatro because of course I did. And I was just curious, I checked my playtime, and I've already logged in 35 hours into the game. Which is I'm like, dude, it's a little ridiculous. Dude, it's like I've had this game for like less than 2 weeks, and I've already put in more than 30 hours. So that's, it's a lot of, it's quite a bit of time, man. But like I said, man, it's been worth it. It's really fun, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface too. Um, I completed some runs today, which is fun, which was fun and satisfying. I finally beat this one deck, which took me forever, just like dozens of tries to try to complete, and finally got past that, and that was pretty satisfying. Um, so yeah, I'm interested in seeing kind of the challenge build up. Interested in seeing how successful I would be in endless mode, which I haven't been for the most part. You really need to have a good build to get to the higher antes. I think that there's a lot of challenge. There's still plenty of content and things to do on my end. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily the case like Slay the Spire, where if you beat the game using a character, you've essentially kind of done everything. Like, I understand there are ascension levels too, and that is some level of challenge there. So I guess on that front, I haven't really beat the game necessarily, or like I haven't completed all aspects of the game, but I've done, it doesn't deviate too heavily from what the original kind of base game is, if you do continue to do ascension and that sort of thing. I think with Balatro, the difference is that because there are so many configurations, there are so many different types of jokers and different types of I don't know, ways to play, I guess. I think that lends itself to even further replayability. I think like there's still so many things that this game can do to kind of continue to build off of this original state. You know what I mean? If they have some kind of like daily challenge like Slay the Spire does, I mean, it's over, right? And it's just like I'm already like I'm gonna be even further hooked, right? I mean, it's just easy. That's just like I don't know how, I don't know how much time it would take for the developer to add that update, but if that is added, I think that's going to be huge. I think if there's a way to shuffle the the hand or like the deck types, I think that would also be fun, like shuffling the deck types and different types of like stipulations and stuff to add further challenge. I think there is like an ability for you to be able to do that all on yourself, but if there are sort of like stated challenges or like whatever, I mean they do exist, and I haven't really taken some of those on, but if there is like like I said, like a daily thing, I think that would be really cool. And then like a leaderboard and shit like that. There's so many things that this game can do to be even further like successful, or even further like add additional content. So there's a lot of things that I think could still be done. This is definitely not the final form, if you want to call it that. So I mean, the hours kind of speak for itself. I mean, I've put more hours into this than I've put into Baten Kaitos. And it's like, and Baten Kaitos is like I mean, I felt like I thought I've put in like a decent amount of time. I checked, it's like 15 hours. And it's like, oh, okay, that's like not that much. And then this game is like 30 plus. I'm like, Jesus, man. It adds up, dude. When you're having fun, you don't really think about the time. It just sort of flies. So, but yeah, it was just kind of funny seeing that. All right, so that's probably going to do it for now and for this week. I'll do I'll do another episode maybe next week sometime when hopefully I have a little bit of time on my hands and then I can catch up on some more stuff. I'll talk about Dune 2. I'll give my thoughts on that movie. And yeah, if I watch anything else or if anything exciting happens in the realm of basketball or gaming, I will talk about those things as well. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for listening as always. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.